A quick update after our dominance 3-0 win over Hertha. Great focus and execution from the lads. On the transfer front, we are in discussions to strengthen the squad, with potential moves being carefully considered. Up next, we face two massive fixtures: Bochum, currently second, and Bayern, always a fierce opponent. Let's keep the momentum going.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 48 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with Leipzig. I hope you're doing well and coming up today. We've got two games off the back of the winter break and big ones as well. In the Bundesliga, first up, it's a little bit of a top of the table clash considering that Dortmund have already played a couple more games than both us and Bochum, and then we'll take on Bayern Munich away from home. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that off the back of the episode a couple of days ago, where we did take on Real Sociedad in the Champions League, backed up by Dortmund in the Bundesliga. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We did pick up a win over Real Sociedad, which should see us go through pretty safely now to the round of 16 of the Champions League straight away, considering who we've got in a week or two's time there in Liga Warszawa, as well as Olympiacos, both those teams down in the 30s on the Champions League standings. But we did play one game off back of that draw against Dortmund. We were to come back from 1-0 down quite early. We're quite strong in that game from set pieces, in particular corners. It was the case again when we took on Hertha Berlin, those guys in the bottom half of the Bundesliga table. It was Mana Diamonde. He scored for one. Drago kind of scored for one. It was a scrappy highlight, but eventually he put the ball home in an injury time. Diaz, coming off the bench, also picked up a goal. So back in winning form there in our last game before the winter break. You'll notice there we took on Mallorca in a friendly and picked up a win there as well. A bit of a fitness friendly there for some of our squad players before this Bochum game. But what that means for the Bundesliga table going into this first game off the back of the winter break is we find ourselves 5 points clear of Dortmund and Bochum. But as mentioned, Dortmund have for some reason played 18 games just for the winter break. They actually took on both Bochum and one other team. We'll just go back and find it here. You'll notice the day before this game, it was Der Klassiker and it was a 0-0 draw. So that's the reason that Dortmund are 5 points behind us as well as Bochum. But going back to that match day where we beat Hertha Berlin, you can see there Dortmund, they did lose 1-0 to Bochum. So Bochum actually might be a tough test for us here, even though this one is at home. And going back only a few days prior, a 2-2 draw with Eintracht Frankfurt. So BFA Dortmund had a pretty busy schedule before that winter break, but hopefully we can make the most of them having a couple of slip-ups now in the last couple of games. Pick up a win here over a Bochum team who, on paper, we should really be beating, considering these guys were only predicted to finish in 15th. Must be the power there of the Peaky Blinder / cheese cutter cap there, worn by Stefan Baumgart, who does like a 4-2-3-1. Their captain is Danny de Wit, who is a Dutch midfielder come striker, rated around the £6 to £7 million mark. There's what he looks like. His mentals and physicals, to be fair, are quite handy, but star rating wise, not too hot. So really, should have quite a few players who are better than him, even though quite good on both feet. Their vice captain, Felix Passlack, the 30-year-old German formerly of Borussia Dortmund, handy player, but again, should have quite a few players here at RB Leipzig, a bit better than him. Their key player, though, an Australian. Let's hope we can keep him quiet. Make sure that Chris Wood's still the best player from down under up in the Northern Hemisphere, but Christian Volpato, that is their key player. To be fair, attribute-wise does look a little bit better, bit more well-rounded than those first two we saw in the vice-captain and the captain who spent some time at Roma, Sassuolo, Lons, and now Bochum off back of starting his career at Western Sydney Wanderers. But again, this should be a team based on attributes that we do have the wood over, albeit we do come back for these first couple of games here in January, with AFCON taking place, so it does mean a little bit weaker in some areas. To be fair, only 2 areas, but we're missing 3 players, so it does mean a little bit of a change here to our squad. You'll notice that Jonathan Norby partners with Luke Haber at centre-back. That's because both our other centre-backs, actually, who were in the first team previously, are at AFCON, and Mana Diamonde and Sianda Shabalala, so we'll see how long those guys are over there with the Ivory Coast and South Africa respectively. And as well as that, Mohamed Kudus is away with Ghana, so that does mean that thankfully got Veja Salk still here at the club, who can do right wing quite handy. That Salk did come back just before that winter break, so thankfully not too bad off there at right wing. Lots of players who can cover that position. Centre back is a little bit weaker. We've called up Marco Scuglia from our under-19s. Of course, he's a player that we did sign with that Levi Colwill money around this time last season. Highly promising, but current ability not too great, but certainly should be able to do a job if we need him to, while both Diamonde and Shabalala are away on FCon duty. So a couple of players that we are missing for these games during the course of today's episode, unless somehow one of those nations that they are representing gets knocked out in the group stages. Hopefully that might happen and get one or a couple of them back for that Bayern Munich game. But thankfully we've got the likes of Benjamin Sesko, Xavi Simons, all back from injuries that they did have before that winter break. Also, we've called up Balisha Obradovic from our B team. That's because Stefan Bajatic is injured with a virus and also currently underbid from Real Madrid, and the KloppBot has accepted that one. So there could be a move coming during the course of today's episode for Stefan Bajatic. You can see there the overall value of that bid around about £75 million. So considering that we did sign him for 49, it's not a massive profit we're going to make on that deal, but certainly it's a good one. We'll reveal who's going to replace him if that does go through during the course of today's episode. But he might not be an RB Leipzig player for too much longer with that virus and also that bid that has come through from Real Madrid that the KloppBot has accepted. Also, we have gone after a player from the New York Red Bulls who some other big European clubs did try and sneak away before we could try and match their bids. Hopefully he'll join us and not go to one of them, but we'll see if any of that stuff does come through during the course of today's episode. Not going to do too much in a mid-season transfer window considering the registration stuff in Europe and how well we are doing in the Champions League this season as well as the Bundesliga, but hopefully we can stretch our lead out on top of that competition to 8 points with a win at home over Bochum. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. Probably the one you'd actually expect us to win, even though Bochum doing a bit better than Bayern Munich. A couple of changes as we ran through before. Norby at centre-back with those players at FCon, and also Bejar at right wing with Salk down on the bench there. Bochum also going with a bit of a 4-2-3-1. Very popular and quite well-performing formation here in Germany. But first versus third, hopefully can pick up a win. And as I said, stretch that gap out to 8 points. And it doesn't take long at all here for the first highlight of this game. It's a free kick here to Bochum already. They has picked up a yellow card at right wing, so probably going to take him off at half time. Hopefully that won't prove too costly before we tell him to ease off tackles off the back of this highlight. Thankfully though, get that ball as Bochum we're on the attack, and they are on that yellow card, makes his way inside the box. He goes down despite that tackle looking pretty clean there from Irving, I think that was. And now it's going to be here a VAR check, the referee going over to his little screen. So I dare say this one might get overturned. Hopefully no second yellow card here for simulation, because that would certainly be an interesting way to end a game at the 3-minute mark. But thankfully VAR does not get booked after that decision. Does get overturned. We'll make sure he eases off tackles, but no penalty. Still 0-0 early. And there's a bit of action early in this game at the 10-minute mark here. We've got a free kick here, bang on the halfway line. We'll be playing that one back to Costello Jr. and then Caicedo playing it back to Norby. Those two are having a bit of fun here with the Bochum attack. We go out there to Hincapi down our left-hand side before going back to Norby, who should get a run of games here while AFCON is taking place. Now they are back on the ball in there for Xavi Simons. It's a lovely through ball that for Benjamin Sesko, who can tuck that one home past the Bochum goalkeeper. That's a heck of a name. Might not even bother trying that one, but that's a really well-worked goal, that one. Down our right-hand side, they are here to Simons with a first-time pass. It's perfectly weighted, the exact right line, and Sesko, with a bit of help from the underside of the crossbar, can put that one away. His back and goal-scoring touch off the back of those couple of injuries and makes it 1-0 Leipzig. And only a few minutes off the back of that opening goal, now there's a clearance there from Bochum, but thankfully we deal with that at the back there through Norby, and also I think that might have been through Tallis Magnum. And again, try and get something going here down our right-hand side. Bayar makes his way inside the box again. It's a potential penalty, but that time it looks a lot more clear-cut. The first one was pretty clearly a clean tackle. That one does look like he has been cleared, and thankfully this time VAR does agree the penalty does stay as awarded. Now Benjamin Sesko looking for an early double, will send the goalkeeper the wrong way and put that one into the bottom right corner. So Benjamin Sesko back from injury and already gets himself on a hat-trick here against an overperforming Bochum team, but so far it's been pretty much one-way traffic and we're making the most of it with a 2-0 lead. And things have quieted down a little bit off the back of that busy start, but now with 5 minutes to go in the first half, do have a throw in here inside the final third. Bradley will put that one into the mixer. It's a bit scrambly there inside the box. Unfortunately, Simons tries to loop that one over the goalkeeper, and it doesn't work. Pretty easy work there for the Bochum goalkeeper. You can see the stats there. We haven't been super dominant, but our chances have hit a very high XG. So we're going to go into half time here with a 2-0 lead thanks to that Sesko double one from that lovely ball through Simons, the other through a penalty that Veja did actually earn. Of course, the first one, bit of a dive. Thankfully, didn't see a second yellow for that at only the 3-minute mark. We're going to take him off despite doing quite well on that yellow card for Killian Salk, still working his way back from injury. Quite a handy player who should get registered for the Champions League over Michael Zeitz at the next opportunity, which will only be in a week or so's time, but a good first half there as we're 2-0 in front. And in fact, very early here in the second half, going to make another sub because Costello Lokeba is on a yellow card. This is probably a situation where we can risk bringing on someone like Marco Scuglia, even though there's still 40 minutes left with a 2-0 lead. And we go forward to the 66-minute mark for the first highlight here of the second half. It's a throw for us here again on the attack as Talas Magno makes his way just outside the box, tries to curve that one into the bottom right corner. Unfortunately, can't quite hit the target, but still pretty well in control of this game with a 2-0 lead. Just coming up here was the last 15 minutes of this game. To be fair, players shouldn't be dropping down to red hearts too much considering didn't play many first teamers in that friendly, and off the back of the winter break, but eventually Connor Bradley goes down to one. Pedro Malheiro can come on for him, and while we're here, may as well take off some other players while we can and try and potentially get them rating late on in this game. We'll make some moves in midfield. Almas can come on in box-to-box midfield, and Obradovic, I believe, for a first team debut here at Leipzig. All our subs used there with 10 minutes left in this one, still well and truly on the front foot as we start to make our way here a little bit closer towards injury time in this game, but it's been complete one-way traffic. Pretty comfy 2-0 lead, not much happening here in the second half of this game, but to be fair, against Bochum, don't mind that too much. They have a late free kick there through Volpato to try and make things interesting, but thankfully it wasn't too far away, but just goes over the crossbar, and we pick up a 2-0 win in our first game back from the winter break. That Cisco double proving oh so important there in the first half. We were definitely on the front foot, came out of the gates there very strongly. To be fair, one of those goals did come from the spot with the first goal. Very well worked there. Down our right-hand side to Cisco, he picks up a double, and we defeat Bochum in our first game back from the winter break, and that will see our lead on top of the Bundesliga go out to 8 points. Hopefully, might be able to extend that when we take on Bayern Munich. But not so fast, because right off the back of that 2-0 win over Bochum, the deal is going to go through here where Stefan Bajcetic will leave the club and join Real Madrid for a fee. Overall, it's around £77 million, but the upfront fee is £59 million. 55 of that gets added to our budget. So Stefan Bajcetic will leave the club off the back of about a season and a half here at RB Leipzig, one of our first signings when we did come to the club as an extra option in balling midfield. So Stefan Bajcetic, he departs, making a bit of money on him. We'll tell him quite happy that he was here. Hopefully he goes quite well at Real Madrid, albeit I say that. Hopefully he doesn't, because they're definitely a team who could be a rival in the Champions League. Now we'll just go forward and make sure we've got enough money to make this replacement sign. So let's go forward, click here, and tell the guy who we are going to sign as a replacement to come and join us, considering that came through a few days ago and we couldn't actually afford to get the deal done before that Bajcetic one did it complete. Let's go over to our transfer hub, and here's the player that we are looking to sign as his replacement. I say looking, that we are going to. This is Mamadou Manga from Sevilla. Very promising youngster here at 19 years old. His release clause, £39.5 million. Apparently also wanted by Real Madrid, not too inferior to Stefan Bajcetic, but a lot more potential. And for that fee, that's quite a good bit of business there from the KloppBot. So we'll ask here for confirmation. Lock this one in. Just click through here, these items off the back of that Bajcetic sale. You can see there, that might be the reason we didn't get all of that £59 million fee with that clause there to Liverpool, with 10% of profit from that deal. But Manga will join us here for £39.5 million. We'll go for it again. You can see there that will still leave us with just over £40 million in our transfer budget. But there's the big move for the first team in this window. We'll see if that's the only one, but that's definitely the only one we've done so far off the back of that transfer window opening since that episode a couple of days ago. Stefan Bajcetic, he has left us to join Real Madrid, and coming in for Sevilla, it will be Manga. Let's just click on this and get this to go through a little bit quicker. And there he is, Mamadou Manga. That potential now a bit better than it did look, and also that current ability is quite handy as well. He is a very promising player, a wonder kid. Hopefully does a good job for us as the backup to Eric Martel. And going forward today of our game against Bayern Munich, and one more deal has gone through. The player that we're looking to sign from the New York Red Bulls to make sure he didn't join a club like Chelsea, or there are a few other big European clubs who are after him. Thankfully, he stays in the Red Bull family. We have just loaned him back out, though, straight back to New York. But Jelmer Vink comes in from New York for £7.25 million. So definitely, with all that money that we did have, was worth keeping him in the Red Bull system, especially considering he has a lot of potential and quite decent current ability as well at 2.5 stars, where that value has shot up quite a bit. Again, it's another centre-back, so to be fair, we have now got a lot of young centre-backs on our books, considering got the likes of Pablo Bernarda out on loan as well. So certainly quite well stocked there at centre-back now, considering we've also got the likes of Lukeba, Diamonde and Shabalala in our first team. So it's an area that we do have a lot of depth at, but he's back out on loan at the New York Red Bulls for the remainder of the season. But for a fee of £7.5 million, that did seem like a good bit of business, just under that in fact. And let's see what he does for this next season back in the MLS at the New York Red Bulls, who to be fair are underperforming quite a bit. I did forget to mention, did do the Red Bull review. The KloppBot wants us to stay here until the end of this season. Worth noting, Amia Arudija did lose a promotion playoff in the J2 after bottling things and going down to third. Also, Bragantino did not retain the Serie A, but did pick up the Copa Libertadores. So there's some interesting stuff going on at the other Red Bull clubs in different continents. But we're about to take on Bayern Munich here in a first versus fifth clash. These guys have been struggling despite that new appointment of Sebastian Hoeneß. Now, to be fair, we have beaten a couple of times this season before drawing with them in the Champions League. So they are a team who has taken points off us this season, just not in the Bundesliga yet. We also did beat them, of course, in that DFL Super Cup right at the start of the season, but their recent form a little bit average. They lost to Augsburg and have dropped points recently to Borussia Dortmund, have though beat Hamburg as well as Benfica in the Champions League. So they're a bit patchy at the moment. Their team, though, looks very similar to what it's looked like the last couple of times that we have taken on, that this one could be a little bit tough away from home. I'm pretty sure already done a hotspots for Munich. If I haven't, you guys let me know. I'll sort that out next time that we do take on Bayern, if there is a next time we don't go on and win the Champions League here this season. Because if we do that, I dare say the KloppBot might send us to the MLS or something like that. But hopefully can pick up a win here over a struggling Bayern Munich team, and at the very least keep our gap on top of the Bundesliga at 8 points. Those players are still away at FCon as well, so no one's returned from that just yet. Shabalala has just been knocked out with South Africa, but not back quite in time for this game. So the squad's exactly the same as it was for that first game today. Hopefully we can pick up a win in Munich and stay 8 points clear on top of the Bundesliga. And here are the team sheets for our second game of today's episode. First up, the home team, Bayern Munich. It's another team here going with a 4-2-3-1, but that does look like a pretty strong Bayern Munich team there that they're going to put out to try and beat us for the first time in a little while. There we are, exactly the same as we were for that first game, apart from the fact that Manga is on the bench instead of Obradovic. We'll see if he makes a debut here off the back of that signing to replace Stefan Bajatic, but hopefully we can pick up some points here and keep that nice gap on top of the Bundesliga table. And it's taken a while, but just shy of the half-hour mark here, get the first highlight of this game. A back pass there, and Bayern do win that ball off us. Some good short passing. Now, Matthias Tell goes down. We picked up some early yellow cards in this game to Talles Magno and Connor Bradley. And I'm pretty sure Bradley just brought him down. Now, I'm pretty sure that was a penalty. I think this VAR check might be just to make sure it's a second yellow card. We could be in trouble here with the first highlight that we do see. The penalty's been awarded. The camera's lingering on the referee. That does seem quite bad. To be fair, Bradley quite far away from where the referee is going. But commentary's noticed it's a second yellow card, not only a penalty, but we're down to 10 men. This could be our first defeat here of the entire season if we don't get this right this sub. So I think here Xavi Simons comes off for Pedro Malheiro, play the rest of this game without a central attacking midfield, but no doubt that's going to make this a very tough test for us against the only team above us on that season preview, even though so far this season they have been quite patchy. Just debating if we take off Talles Magno as well while he is sitting on a yellow card. I think we should be able to leave that one, considering he's easing off tackles, being a winger and all that. Malheiro still inside the box, but Tal sends Rey steers the wrong way and puts that one away. Probably wants Simon for these penalties, because so far here he's been brilliant when players have been taking shots from the spot. But unfortunately, we go 1-0 down and also lose a player a half hour in. Albeit just now into the last 5 minutes of this game and have a throw in here inside the final third, albeit a little bit aerial ping pong here and can't quite keep hold of the ball. Velasco gets that ball back there for Bayern Munich today, of course, being away from home. We are in the all blue and we do actually win that ball back there through Malhero. It's a nice ball over the top too from Lukaber for Benjamin Sesko. Was he onside though? Fingers crossed he was, because if he was, that gets us right back into this game just before half-time, but unfortunately he was offside. Let's wait and see just how far off this was. Costello got that ball there from Malhero, and Sesko indeed timed that run a little bit too early, to be fair. Probably didn't need to. I think he had the pace there to make them sweat there, that defence anyway, but a highlight right off the back of that offside call again. We do have position, so might be a chance for us here to hit back just before half-time, albeit at the moment just struggling to shake Bayern loose there at the back, but a nice pass out there to Hincapi before going forward to Magno on that yellow card. Will probably come off at halftime as well now as Eric Martel, who's picked up a yellow, definitely a position where we could pick up a second. So there's going to be some subs coming up here at halftime. They are on the ball, does quite well there to find Martel. Nice through ball there to Benjamin Sesko, but Lunin comes up with a good save. So starting to put some pressure on here just before halftime, looking for an equaliser, a set piece here. Unfortunately, no Diamondo today, so just struggling a little bit from those set pieces compared to what we did in that last episode. Make our way into 3 minutes of added time. 1-0 down, which to be fair with 10 men, not too bad, but apart from that penalty, Bayern Munich haven't been up to too much. We're going to take the players off here on yellow cards, so it does mean that a debut for Munger and also Udrago can come on for Magno. We've got Bayar and Sesko struggling on 6.4s, but considering we're going to be using quite a few subs here, by half-time might save those up for the second half, but so far it's not gone well with that red card and penalty given away by Connor Bradley. We're 1-0 down. And it doesn't take long at all here for the first half of the second half, but unfortunately Bayern Munich here with thrown inside of the final third. Some short passing, they find Zabanya there on the edge of the box. A decent run from the centre-back, and I'm pretty sure Restes there has had a pretty big boo-boo and goal. Can't afford that. Went down to 10 men, but unfortunately it does look like this is going to be our first defeat of the season, unless we can stage a big comeback here, despite being down a man. Zabanya there, just given way too much space, and Restes should be holding on to that one. Pretty poor work there from our French goalkeeper, and Bayern take a 2-0 lead. Off the back of that, going to make a sub here because Bayern has gone down to a 6.2. Killian Salk can come on, but probably not the area we need to look to improve, considering how we conceded that goal. Now in a world of hurt, 2-0 down with 10 men. And just about to make our way into the last 20 minutes of this game now. Unfortunately, Benjamin Sesko struggling out there on a 6.3 defensively as well. A couple of players who are struggling, but obviously we need goals. Being 2-0 down. Uzziel Marban can come on for Sesko while he is struggling. That'll be our last sub. Also, might just centralise here our midfielders, considering we've got no one further forward in that Xavi Simons role, considering we had to take him off when we did lose that player to a red card, and Connor Bradley a chance there from set piece for Bayern Munich, but thankfully that one goes just the wrong side of the post. But again, they get a chance here at the 69-minute mark from a corner. Zabanya plays that one back out there to Fabio Vieira, who rifles that one into the bottom right corner, and we're definitely losing our first game of the season here, and it's against Bayern Munich, who so far this season have been pretty average, but obviously it's a bit harder when you go down to 10 men. We're finding it out the hard way here. Zabanya gets an assist to go alongside that goal that he scored because Restes made a big old blunder early in this half, but we're 3-0 down with only 20 minutes left. And just made our way into the last 5 minutes of this game. We did go attacking off back of that third goal, which we did concede, considering we may as well been 3-0 down, but unfortunately not much has changed off the back of that move going down to 10 men. The real killer in this game, Connor Bradley, picking up a very early yellow card at the 4-minute mark, then giving away a penalty, double jeopardy as they scored from that, and he saw red for that second yellow. So really, that was the difference maker. To be fair, so far, our discipline here has been pretty good, but unfortunately, for the first time this season, we do suffer a defeat. It's a little bit excusable though with that red card to Connor Bradley. We go 3-0 down to Bayern Munich and away from home. That's probably our toughest game this season anyway in the Bundesliga, even though, as I've said a few times, they aren't doing too well this season, but unfortunately that has meant our gap on top of the Bundesliga goes back down to 5 points, considering Bochum picked up a win at Eintracht Frankfurt. We lose our first game of the season to Bayern Munich. So it's taken until the second half of the season, but eventually we lose a game here this year at RB Leipzig, and it does come because of a red card to Connor Bradley. He'll be banned for our next game against Cologne, which is in the Bundesliga. Before then, take on Legia Warsaw in the Champions League, but he'll probably start that game, seeing as he's not going to be playing that next Bundesliga one, but that was the key factor there as we do lose 3-0 to Bayern Munich. That second goal, a little bit hard to take as well. That really should have been saved by Restes, but we suffer our first defeat of the season. Munger also made a debut in that game. We'll just check what rating he did get if we can, because I didn't actually pay too much attention considering how that game was going. Mugner, where is he? Down there on the bench, and did pick up a decent 6.7, not too much different to what Eric Martel was doing, so not a bad debut there from our new signing, who hopefully will develop nicely and end up being a better player than Stefan Bajcetic, but unfortunately his first outing for RB Leipzig is a losing one, our first one of the season. As I said, it does mean our gap on top of the Bundesliga goes back down to 5 points. To be fair, not much changed during the course of that episode today, apart from the fact that we did make a signing, and also we did lose our first game of the season to Blimmin Bayern Munich. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. If you did, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Now next week should be going back to a more normal schedule. I do have a couple of holidays coming up because of people leaving work and whatnot to do a tramp or something, but I should be able to do 5 videos next week. So that's the plan. We'll go back to the 5 video weeks here for the remainder of this series until it does end, which will be at some stage before FM25 finally comes out in the early access, advanced access, whatever it is beta core thing. But we are going to come back for our next episode. I'll just see what we've got coming up. I don't know if we'll do too many more moves in the transfer window. Champions League, we should be pretty safe there considering who we've got in our last couple of games. Cologne we've got next in the Bundesliga, also got them though in the DFB Pokal quarter-final, and they're struggling in the Bundesliga as are Werder Bremen. We might come back in early February and play that quarter-final, because by then should have a pretty good idea who we will get in the round of 16 of the Champions League as well, or if things go really badly somehow in the knockout playoff round, but fingers crossed won't be in that off the back of that win against Real Sociedad in that last episode. So we might come back, take on Cologne, maybe also, depending on time, sneak in that game against Eintracht Frankfurt, saying as they're in the top half of the table and there's not many other teams we take on for a fair while in that position. So I think we'll come back and play some games at the start of February. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.